Beth Stucky is what I would like to call she's not an over, she's a covert Christian racist. She talks real nice. She seemed to mean well. She seemed to want the best for people as long as they under her people. She threw up a red flag to me when she had Chad Jackson on there talking about Dr. Martin Luther King. And I don't understand why Dr. Martin Luther King been gone 60 years and why are they still Christians, so-called Christians? Why are they still trying to, they already assassinated him. Now they trying to character assassinate him. We already know Chad Jackson is, they got him too, man. But in every society, you can always find and give a Negro. I ain't say the hard ER Negro. You can give a Negro a couple dollars and he'll start tap dancing for you. Couple black men, like, they'll get Vody Bakum, they'll get Chad Jackson, they'll get a couple other black talking heads to try their best to discredit the hard work Dr. King put in. The reason why they gotta still try to assassinate his character 60 years later is because his message is still alive today. They don't want black people to have good leaders.
Okay, so in order to respond to this, I think we're actually going to have to go to the whiteboard, shall we? Now, a lot of people don't know this about me, but apart from being a filmmaker and a researcher and a commentator on social issues and cultural issues, I actually also am a master plumber. I've held a master plumbing license here in the state of Texas for roughly 10 years. And the reason I bring that up is because, the plumbing trade, just like all other skilled trades, is dictated by the hard sciences. It's not something that's abstract that you can just figure out as you go. It's something that has guardrails, that is rooted in how the world is formed and how the world is shaped. Now, to the extent that you don't have a working knowledge of science and mathematical equations, you're not able to do your job adequately as a skilled tradesman. And to the extent that you make a mistake or you don't calculate something properly, it can cause issues, and in some cases, catastrophic issues. And so it is necessary for you to then go back, figure out what mistake you made, correct that issue, so that way you can do your job adequately. Now, I try to apply that same logic into how I operate as a filmmaker and a researcher and a commentator on social and cultural issues. Because it's very easy to just talk in the abstract. It's very easy to talk about a lot of ideas that don't actually work in the real world. And it's important to apply that same logic when it comes to so-called Black America and where Black America went wrong. And so the way that I think about it is this. When you look at so-called Black America, from around about the end of slavery till around the 1950s, you saw a trending in the right direction. In terms of faith, most Black Americans, especially in the South, were church-going. You saw it in terms of entrepreneurship and the starting of businesses. When you look at Booker T. Washington's Negro Business League and the increase of real estate agents and builders and insurers, so on and so forth. You saw it in terms of family formation. You saw it in terms of home ownership. You also saw it in terms of literacy. See if I can draw a book there. That's my book. On all these different fronts, you saw it trending in the right direction. And then you get into the 1950s and the 1960s. And we have a choice to make. We come to a kind of fork in the road, as it were. We can either keep going in the same direction, or we can go a different direction. And that direction is toward globalism. Now, I say globalism, but in reality, there's a lot of ideas and ideologies that lead essentially to globalism, whether you're talking about socialism, Marxism, communism, whatever ism you want to call it, collectivism, they all lead toward the same path. And there were voices that were encouraging to go this direction. None other than Martin Luther King Jr. See if I can draw Martin Luther King there. Give him some eyes, a nose, a mouth, and a mustache. That's MLK.
Bruh.
Now, the interesting thing about MLK is that while he's talking about equality and justice and everything else, what he's essentially talking about is Marxist ideology. And you have to listen real close to understand what he's saying. And not only do you have to listen real close, we also have the writings of his best friend, Ralph Abernathy, among others. We have a bunch of King papers that were released in volumes. These were his own writings, as well as correspondence that he wrote with other communists and Marxists and agitators. We have plenty of these materials, a lot more from where that came from. It's just what I had here in this room. And not only that, you have a bunch of files. And all of these things really give us insight into what King was trying to do, how he didn't actually believe in the Christian faith, even though he was a pastor, how he believed in the Marxist ideology, but understanding that we were in the midst of a Cold War, he couldn't just come out and say that he's a communist. He had to do it in a more covert way. And so here you had a man who was willing to play the part, pretend to be a minister, preaching the gospel, when in reality, he was teaching something more subversive, Marxist ideology, cloaked in a Christian garb. But what's more important is the fact that when you look at the ideas that he was pushing, ideas like a radical redistribution of wealth, which is rooted in Marxism, a universal income, which again is rooted in Marxism. When he said that we want justice to roll down like waters, he wasn't referring to biblical justice, but social justice. All of the things that King was saying was geared toward a Marxist, globalist, communist idea. These were the ideas of Martin Luther King. It's a light bulb there. And so the reality of it is, when you look at the so-called Black church, when you look at many Black Americans, we decided to listen to what he was saying and to go in this direction. Now, there's a lot of things that have happened, a lot of detrimental things that have happened in the wake of us going in that direction. We now see marriage rates plummeting amongst Blacks. So we're no longer getting married to the degree that we were getting married prior to going this direction. Over 70% of Black children are being born out of wedlock. Many Black children are not reading or writing at grade level. And then too, when you look at the Cato Institute study from 2019, over 60% of Black people believe that socialism is preferable to the free market enterprise system. So in going this direction, we literally took a turn for the worse. And so the way my brain works is to go back and reanalyze these ideas, understand where we went wrong, repent, and resolve to keep moving in the proper direction. Now, what's interesting is that, my detractors, people who say, oh, well, you can't go back and look at the ideas of a man who's no longer here to defend himself. It's interesting because those are the same people who praise Martin Luther King every MLK Day, who use him as a kind of sword in order to fight for socialist legislation. But in the same way that they use him as a sword, they use him as a shield and saying, oh, you can't say anything negative about him because he's in the grave. It's important not to hate the man, but to analyze the ideas, to understand where we went wrong and resolve to move in the right direction. I hope this helps.